Hey, alrighty. So today I'm gonna show you how to use um, basic things inside SkySlope. I'm gonna show you how to create forms, how to create a template folder system, so that when you're filing, submitting offers, etc., you know how to use and get yourself started with eXp SkySlope. I don't know if it's different with other brokerages or if it varies by state, but at least here in Texas, eXp, this is a sky slope that I will be showing you. I don't have a lot going on right now, but you can see I have active this one. You are in eXp sky slope version. This is where you handle all the documents for a a transaction that you already have in escrow. Um, Before that, if you have a client or you're about to get a client and you need them to sign, or you already have a client, you need to get them to sign an offer, sign your agreement, etc. Then you go to apps and then click on forms. You go to SkySlope and then click on apps, go to forms, and then you will see this. Now you're in SkySlope forms. In SkySlope forms, this is where we can create a file and have all our documents um, about a transaction in it. In this case, we're gonna go to templates and create a new file for buyers. As you can see, I have my buyers forms and my sellers forms. It's time I update my buyers form, so I'm going to just use this opportunity and create a new file. And that way you can see, at least with eXp in Texas using SkySlope, you learn how to do that yourself, and you more or less get a good starting point of what forms to have for every new buyer client or most buyer clients. So with eXp, we don't do property management. So we don't. I don't think, at least me, I haven't used this yet. It's always seller or buyer, and then tenants. If you're working with a tenant looking for a place to rent. We're gonna go with buyers. Click next. We're gonna call this our buyer forms. Make it simple, something you can distinguish or type quickly. You don't have to get too creative with it. Okay, so one of the first forms we have is obviously the residential agreement. This is the form that we will give our clients, our buyers, so that they can become our client buyers. This is what engages them into the actual relationship. Did I miss it? Let's see, residential, here we go. Residential. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I was talking and scrolling at the same time, and I didn't notice I missed this. So it's up here. So the residential buyer or tenant representation agreement. We're gonna add it, but let's click on it real quick so you can see what it looks like. The Texas Realtors residential buyer slash tenant representation agreement. This means this is the same form that you use if you are working whether a buyer or a tenant. Fill this as much as you can. Don't worry too much about the facts. If you can, if you have it, put it in there. This is our brokerage, eXp Austin address information, texas.broker at exprealty.com, etc. Definitions. This is the term, how long the agreement lasts. It goes through certain clarifications, permissions, if the clients are going to allow you to represent both sides at the same time. If it happens to come to that, how much you're going to get paid, etc. And then at the bottom, you, broker's associate and authorized agent, here you sign, and then here your buyer sign. So we're going to add this one. The next form that we need is for the buyers is, well, actually for both sides, but we need the information about broker. And as you can see here, there's a buyer and a seller side. So let's have the buyer side. Make sure that you're always getting the same form. And if you see multiple forms that appear to be the same, always go go to the main track website for our state of Texas, and look for whatever version of the forms they have there. If you're not sure, just go directly to them. And if you're in eXp, you can just pretty much just ask anyone that's in eXp. You shouldn't be alone if you don't want to. We have a pretty good culture, so I mean, you know this. Reach out to any of us, and we're always glad to help each other. Anyways, and if you're not with eXp, I mean, the same goes to you. If you have questions and you have the same version right now for SkySlope, send any of us at eXp a shout, and we'll definitely help you out. Since we use this system already, and we are the helping kind. Anyways, so the next form, we already have the disclosure. We have the information about brokerage. I believe we added it, correct? Let me make sure. Information about brokerage. Yep, it looks like I added it. Okay. So then the next one is the third-party financing addendum. The third-party financing addendum is a pretty basic form. It's a rider to the original offer that you're going to make to a property. But this form, and maybe I should have shown you that one first, but I already have this one. We'll start with this one. The third-party financing addendum is a rider to the forms, to your offer form, if your buyer is using any type of financing. This is more or less where you describe it. Most of it will be in this first page. You have to choose whether it's conventional, the type of conventional financing that it is, whether it's a Texas Veterans Loan, FHA, or a VA guaranteed versus a veterans loan, the Texas Veteran, or if it's an agricultural type of loan in a agro area, and then you may be using the USDA financing loan. I haven't really dealt with reverse mortgage financing, but again, that's an option here. And then up the bottom, you have to be careful with this because this is where more or less, this is where you describe the loan to the other party. And then here is where you tell that other party more or less how this loan may affect the particular transaction. And more or less, that's in the fact that you're for example, saying if you opt to choose one of these, then if the lender says that they won't finance it because they don't think the house is worth what you're offering to pay through the loan amount itself, just for whatever the loan amount is, if there is a discrepancy and you come and the approval of the amount comes in short, lenders may not lend you either at all or even the appraisal amount. Most likely they'll just lend you the appraised amount. So then you have to come in with the difference as a buyer. So this is where you either let them know, hey, this is upon condition of the lender, or if it's not, that's what this is, and then they sign it. Once the seller accepts, they need to sign this one as well. Anyway, so we'll add it. Now, the form that I should have shown you earlier, and it's the 124 family residential contract. Now, notice that it says resale. It says resale for a reason. Resale means that a house has not just literally being built brand new for the buyer. If the house was built last week and it's sold and it's gonna sell again, it's considered more or less a resale. I mean, don't hold me to the dates, but just to give you a drastic example, once the property sells, once it sells again, it's considered a resale. So any property that is not brand new is considered a resale, which is almost every home, or the majority of them, a lot of them. Now, that's so the reason why we only use track forms for resale, our Texas issued forms for resale, is because builders are considered home sellers, individual home sellers, individual entity home sellers. just the way the government considers an LLC, certain types of structures and corporations, or structures of these corporations. My tongue got twisted there for a bit. Just the way that the government considers certain legal structures an individual entity, so do the other regulatory bodies that follow suit from that. In this case, it affects real estate. So, um, because builders are considered homeowners, home builders, home sellers, individuals, they can pretty much do, in a very general sense, um, almost whatever they want. Now, things that as realtors or other licensed individuals or structures cannot necessarily do. And one of those things is that they can provide their own forms. So while everyone else is dealing with forms and using forms and having and enjoying the protection of the TREC issue forms, um, the builders and even any homeowner in Texas, anybody, you have the option to either make your own form, pay an attorney, and or draft it between you and the buyer, between both parties, as long as both parties agree and there's a clear understanding amongst both. Now that's also agreeable and accepted here. Um, but again, most people don't. So TREC makes things easier by protecting the individual interests of the communities, and so they have facilitated templates for the general use. The only caveat is that people have to use realtors, but people have a choice: use these forms through a realtor or hire their own attorney. Um, Builders just hire their own attorney, and they make their own forms. So we don't use it. We use only these ones for the resale. If you ever sell a brand new home, the builder will almost likely, just use whatever form they have that is standard to them. Just be careful when you check in their forms because they tend to be one-sided. Something that the TREC promulgated forms for sure do not do. They're not one-sided. So anyway, so just that's a little piece of information. Make sure to read carefully and evaluate and suggest that your buyer consult an attorney before they sign any type of contract, builder issued contract. Anyway, so this is a 1-4 family residential. It's called 1-4 because we can use this up to a fourplex. Anything other than that is considered a commercial property, and it's not only just affecting the type of loan, but also the type of documentation that we need, including the offer. But this is where you fill it out. I'm not going to go through how to fill it out right now, but this is a form itself. We're going to add it. Okay, so now we have the disclosure. Oh, no, we haven't added the disclosure, I believe. Let's go add the disclosure of relationship with residential service. So this is the next one. The disclosure of relationship service is just essentially that. Is you are telling your party, your client, whether or not the broker that you work with, in our case, is eXp. And yes, eXp does have a relationship with a residential company, and that is an insurance company, I believe. And I haven't committed to memorizing or learning the name of the company, but I believe it's American Home Warranty or something like that. Regardless, this is if you're representing the buyer. Again, right now we're representing the buyer. So whenever I fill this out and save it as a template, I'm going to make sure that I do one side, this which is the other broker side, and then this is the listing side. Right now I'm going to be filling this out for the buyer, so I'm going to be filling out only this side. I would mark here, and then here I would put the name of the American Home Warranty or something like that. I think it's called the company that our broker is partnered at a national corporate level, I believe, is that company. So that's how we would fill this one out. And then your name, your license number, your signature, and then the buyer's acknowledgement. You don't have to have this one signed by the other party once you enter escrow. This is just for your client. Anyway, so I'm adding that one. So that's a disclosure. Now we have the buyer. What about affiliated? Let's see if they offer the. No, there's no affiliated. There is another form, um, and I will add it right now. I will show you what it is, but I don't think it's here. Um, what else am I missing? Another one would be we have the 124. We have the third party financing addendum. We added the EABs. I call it the EABs. Um, which is information about brokerage services. We have the residential buyer tenant rep agreement. Another one is the right to terminate, because that happens. Right to terminate. I think that's what it is. Yeah. So the addendum concerning the right to terminate due to lender's appraisal. That goes in hand with the financing addendum. That in case the appraiser comes in short, that gives you a way out. It gives you an easy cancellation. Even if you need to, and let's say that your buyer has the cash to make the difference, and this is an opportunity that you can take to evaluate the situation and see if you want to proceed, or just maybe go try somewhere else better if the market has changed in your favor or whatever. But this gives you an option that if it comes short and your buyers don't have the cash to make the difference, then they can just opt out of the contract to no penalty of their own. So we're gonna add that one. That's the right to terminate once you are in the contract. Now, what about withdrawing from an offer? Most people are okay with a text or an email, but obviously, to be safe, you do have a form as well, and you can have it's something withdrawal. Yeah. So in this case, we're representing the buyers, so we're gonna have the notice of withdrawal of offer for the buyers. So you're representing the buyers and you're withdrawing the offer to buy, and this is the one that you would use. Let's see. Hopefully it's not that common for you, but it's good to have it handy and ready and pre-filled. I think those are all it. I don't think I'm missing. Which one else am I missing? Let's see. Okay, so we go down here. Let's see. Residential buyer or tenant rep agreement. The information of a brokerage. Third party financing addendum 1 to 4. Disclosure relationship addendum concerning the right to terminate. Notice of withdrawal. Okay, so that's good. We're gonna click continue. We don't need a little tour. So again, these are the forms that you would fill. This video is kind of long right now. I'm going to make another video for that, but at least now you have more or less how to create a template file for you with information ready for at each moment, at any moment. Now let's go quickly and create one for the seller side. For the seller side, you'll see that it's almost the same. You have a lot of the same forms. Actually, sorry, let's go back to the buyer forms and let me upload a document that I still need. And this one is for eXp only. It's called, if you can see right there, it's called eXp Affiliated Business Arrangement Disclosure, which sounds almost the same as the disclosure of relationship with residential service company. It's almost like that one, right? Affiliated business arrangement, but there's some legality to it. I don't fully understand it. I think this is more of a general scope where it's letting you know, hey, there's possibly many different companies that are involved with eXp. So it's just for full transparency. This is something that they're sharing, whether required or not. It is required at least by eXp, and it could possibly be required in some level by the state. So instead of Texas, for sure, at least this is where I'm at, we have this one. So if you need it, let me know. I'll email it to you. But this is the other one that we needed to add. Okay, so now we're gonna go to create template again. Now we're gonna create one for the seller side. We're gonna call this seller forms. Click continue. Now here we're gonna do listing agreement. Let's see. Here we go. Residential real estate listing agreement, exclusive right to sell. So exclusive right to sell. There's exclusive right to lease. Again, we don't do property management, at least not that I know of in Texas, with eXp, but we do sell. So residential listing agreement. This is like the buyer rep agreement, but this is to sell. And this is really all you need for now, at least to get like a really good head start, is learn how to fill this out. If you're a new agent, print it out, practice. If you have a house, or you've bought a home before, fill it out, practice with your spouse, significant other, a friend, or yourself, and just fill it out and get better with it. The better you are, the better, quicker you can explain in presentations and talk to the sellers and get in and out of those listing presentations and come out winning with a happy, confident seller. So it's worth learning. Anyway, but this is the form. Let's add it. Now we also need the information of a brokerage, but this time we're gonna do the seller side. Now we're going to do we need the lockbox. I don't remember if the lockbox was through here or not. I don't think it is, but I have it, so I'll add it right now. But we have, for example, also the disclosure. So we need to get the disclosure. Disclosure of relationship with residential service company. Here we go. So this is that form again. Let's see, what else am I missing? The other one is that eXp form. The leaseback is also common. I think it's called seller residential lease. Right here, seller's temporary residential lease. So this is for when a seller, sometimes they need an extension of when to move out. If the new buyer is kind enough, they may extend a few days or sometimes a prolonged stay option for the seller to be able to move out, whenever they need to. And sometimes that surprise a date is that sometimes comes with a price and is negotiated on a daily rate basis. Or sometimes the buyers are kind enough and they'll just let the seller stay for a little longer, free of charge. But it can be negotiated in any way. I just had a transaction where the seller got 2 weeks extra from me simply paying for home cleaning for the new buyer. So that worked out. It can be negotiated anyway. In any case, if it is through a lease and it is calculated to a daily rent, then you would have this included, and it just leases the property back to the owner. That's really all it is, and it's meant to be temporary. For anything longer, you need to use the actual lease agreement. Anyway, so that one's there, and then you have the seller's disclosure. The seller disclosure notice is a form that is used to describe the property, at least describe the property's condition as far as what the owner knows, or as far as what the owner, should be confident enough about confirming. You have to be careful with this form because you cannot guide or sway or in any way influence how this form is filled. So usually I just print it out or email it to my clients and then let them fill it out. If you email it to them in SkySlope, it doesn't give us the option to have clickable checkboxes. So it's a little bit of a pain in the butt. So what I do is I print it out and email them a PDF, which if they can, they'll print, and then they'll fill it up by hand, scan it, and email it back to me. Or I'll print it out and then hand deliver a copy that they can fill by hand. Let them do their thing, filling it out, and then whenever they're done, if they do it that day, that moment, then I take it back. Otherwise, I leave it and then go back for it later, or they'll email it, to me if they can scan it through their phone or something, and then email. But if you're gonna email it directly to here, you have to make every box clickable, every single box, even if you don't think they'll use it, because again, you cannot sway in any way. So they feel to the best of their knowledge. And this form, if your seller fills it out when you list the house, then this is what goes into the MLS. Let me go see if one of my MLSs is open that have some documents showing. Nope, this one doesn't have any. I don't have any properties. Let's see if we can click on any given property and see if we get lucky. Let's pick in any random house and let's see if we find documents. Anyway, but what I was gonna show is that calculator community. Nope, this one doesn't have any either. Let's see. Document. Nope, yeah, right here. So if you have documents like the seller disclosure filled and signed by the seller, then when you're listing it on the MLS, this is where you would it would show. You have documents and then see you have home seller's disclosure. And this is what it would look like filled out. This is a bad it looks. That's a sloppy kind of job, but I guess it works. It just looks sloppy online. Yeah. Anyways, once you print it, this will look nice. But this is something that they fill on their own. And again, you have to make every form fillable because you really don't know and you don't presume to know what they will fill out. Anyway, so that's what this one looks like. Let's close it out. Let's go back to our SkySlope. That's the other form. So we should really have like 4 or 5. It looks like right now we have 5 forms. Boom, boom, boom. Let's click continue. Residential listing agreement. General information and notice to the buyers and sellers. This is our. Wait, when did I add this? General information. Did I click on the wrong one, guys? I think I may have. Information about broker. Right here. Okay, now information about brokers. Now this one we'll just get rid of. And then now we have listing agreement. We have disclosure of relationship with residential service companies. And again, for the seller side, you would fill this part out, not this side anymore. Now you're filling out the listing side. And we do have a relationship, so we would put, and I don't know whether one form is clickable and not with the other, but this is where we would put American Home Warranty. I think it's called. Make sure you check it, but I think that's what it's called. This is a seller's temporary residential lease if needed, in case your seller needs more time to move out. This is the form that they fill out to describe the condition as far as they know, as to the best of their knowledge. This can get the seller in trouble if they intentionally fill it out. Intentionally to maybe hide a previous work or rehab that was done wrong or whatever. And that's kind of more or less what this is for. And it looks like the updated version does make it clickable, so that's nice. And then we have the EAPS, or what I call the EAPS, information about brokerage services. So this is pretty much it what you need. You have the EAPS, the disclosure, you have another disclosure, you have another disclosure. Oh no, this is the agreement. and then you have a disclosure and then another agreement. So you have 2 agreements and disclosures. Save the template. Now we have the seller's form and the buyer's form. I'll do another video later for how to fill them up for those that need to. But for now, this will help you get started. And if you have any questions, or especially if you are in Texas, let me know and I can send you some of the info in case you need some guidance. Other than that, yeah, that's it for now. As you can see, I have about 8 forms, which is probably more than what I will use on a regular basis. On a regular basis, I'll use the residential agreement. I'll use the EABs, or what I call the EABs, the third-party financial if they're using, some sort of financing, 1 to 4 offer. But the only one that I'm gonna use is the withdrawal of offer, or maybe the withdrawal to terminate it for the appraisal. So those are pretty much only 2. So out of the 8, we may use 5 or 6 on a regular basis. Anyways, so that's it. Thank you for watching. Hopefully it helps. Any other topics that you want, leave them in the comments, and I will try to get to them as quick as I can and if I can. Bye.